Welcome back to another Learn PowerShell video. Obviously, we're going over day 8 of the advent of code. So if you've followed this at all, know the story. So our crabs helped us get through everything, and here we are navigating our way through the cave, and we have this issue with our display. If you see this on your screen right now, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can see them. This is a digital display readout on clock or microwave, stove. They're still common places to see a clock like this, with a readout like this anyway, with these digits. So we've assigned letters to each segment of the clock, each line segment. So you guys are used to seeing these as individual lines, but here they're just assigned letters. And the number of letters doesn't matter. It's just that letter would be A, B, C. This is D, E, F, G. So you can see them all here on 8. And just a single A represents this entire top line. So here we go. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 segments. So 3 in the top, 3 in the bottom, and then the middle. And so the problem is we need to figure out the letters have been mixed up, so they're not being assigned correctly as the clock should be, or as the display should be. It's not a clock. It's our sensors that indicate where another cave is. So, for example, this might be an entry that we see. So this is mixed up. So what these all represent is each individual number that you see up here. So we have this. 3 letters is, we can safely say, is 7. There are only 3 segments. 2 letters is 1. There's only 2 segments being used. If we find the one with 4, right here, this is the number 4. There's only 4 segments in 4. So using that knowledge, we need to focus on just the easy digits, and we're only going to focus on the output. We're not going to focus on the input. The input is what is to the left of the pipeline, and the output is what is to the right. So this is the garbled version of the letters or the display pieces, and here's the output, what it's trying to display. We only care about these 4 digits because they are unique: 1, 4, 7, and 8. This has 2, this has 4, 3, and 7 each segments. So counting them in the output values, how many times did digits 1, 4, 7, or 8 appear? My puzzle answer was 512, which is very easy to remember. So let's bounce over to VS Code. So here we are, and this is not the right day, so I'm just going to open up new. So let me grab day 8's puzzle. Alright, so we have day 8 and our puzzle. Let's get content. Okay. And let me Alright. Okay, so first what we need to do is kind of establish what lengths we're looking for. So we only need a segment of 2, a segment of 3, a segment of 4, and a segment of 7. So it's fairly simple to look for. So we know there's just 4. So let's just say that we're going to say that our length array, or let's just call it, length array, equals 2, 3, 4, and 7. And we want to know how often these appear. So let's set that to 0, and let's just add 2 each one. So this one is actually extremely easy to do and fairly straightforward. So For each line in puzzle, which is what we do for all of these, this piece is nothing new. We're going to say that let's call this input, and then let's call this output, and it's going to equal line dot split. Can't access it because I didn't run that, but it's fine. And we're going to split at the pipeline. So you've previously seen me do, let me actually just load this really quick so you guys can see it. So you've previously seen me do split like line split. However, you cannot split with the pipe like this, because if you try, you will get nothing back. Oh, I didn't load up puzzle. I apologize. So now let's try this. So, line. So now if I try to split, it splits everything. It splits at every character, and that's not what we want. This is like splitting on nothing. So what we have to do is do it with the split method, which is when you dot source something or dot step into. This is a split method rather than string manipulation you guys are used to seeing me do, which is just a class alteration for the string. So this method acts much differently, much like the for each and for each object after a pipeline. They do not act the same way. They ultimately do the same thing, but they don't act the same way. Just like this. So this will allow us to split at the pipeline. So if I run this, we will have our input. Oops. Let's take that space out. Why don't we have an input? Well, we have our output. I don't know what happened to the input. Oh, input is not a variable you can use. I apologize. Let's call this digits. There we go. So input is not a variable that you can store your own things in. Sorry, I had to get a drink of water. Okay. So for digits, we can just say that for a couple of reasons. So if I were to look at digits and just do this, I would not see that there is an extra space at the end here, because we didn't split by that. We can't split by it. So if I add a space in here, it actually doesn't do anything. So we need to get rid of the empty trailing space that exists there. So what we're going to do is say that our digits, and we're going to say 0 through digits dot length, and we're going to say -1. And that will move the empty space out of it. So, and I'm just showing you guys this because I want you guys to see how to do it rather than it's necessary. We don't care about the input again for part 1. We only care about the output. So if I run that, I check digits, 59. I don't know how many characters are here, to be honest. I guess 59. So you need to do the same thing for output. So for output, what we're going to do is say that our output, and we're going to say 1, because output, if we look at output right now, right here, there's a leading space, and obviously that would really mess us up, so we need to get rid of it. So we're going to say 1 to output dot length, and we can just go ahead and wrap this in parentheses just for my own peace of mind. And if I do this, what happens is we get this. it just moved everything to its own array. So we need to then join on nothing. Let's actually just move this. Okay. So now our output looks like this. And now that we have this, we need to split at the space so each of these is its own item in an array. So now we have our output array where we have 4 individual items in the output. So after that, it is extremely straightforward. So for each, let's just call it D for display, or we can call it display. In output, we are going to say that if length array contains display dot length, whoops, then we're going to do something. What we're going to do should be fairly straightforward. Actually, just get rid of all these extra lines. And we're going to say appearance plus equals 1. And that means that it appeared at least once, or sorry, this number, like if the display currently had like a 2, like an AB, that is length of 2, so we know that's the number 1, so that's one of the ones we're looking for. Or if it has 3, that's the number 7. If it has 4, it's 4. If it's 7, it's 8. So this should take care of everything for us. So let's just run all this together. And let's check our appearance and make sure that it is 512. And there we go. That is part 1. So now let's bounce back to part 2. And I am not going to walk you through all of this code for a couple of reasons, which I will explain after I show you the second part of the challenge. So the second part of the challenge is that we need to figure out how we can decipher the input to know what the output is, because several of these all contain the same length of characters. Like all 3 of these are 5, both of these are 6, so is this. So there's a lot of characters that share the same number count as far as things go. So 2 and 5 are exactly the same, they're just switched. 6 and 9 are just flopped. They both contain 6, but so does 0. So a lot of these share the same number of ticks in the display. So we have to figure out how to differentiate, let's say, CDFBE from FBCAD to figure out which one of these is 2, which one is 5, and which one is 3, and which one is 0. So we need to figure out how we can do that. So I will, here's my answer. Obviously, I got it correct. So I'm just going to put up the code and I will slowly walk you through the logic, but we're not going to walk through the code. You can look through it at your leisure, but it is going to be really daunting to try to go through all of this, like line by line, with writing the code. So we'll cover it, but I'm not going to rewrite it. So what we have here is we get the puzzle. I accidentally saved it in the day 7 folder on accident, but this is the puzzle. Same thing. So what we have here, same thing we just did at the top up there, and we have these letters in order, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I put them in order purposely, and we move that to a character array. Why I put them in order, I will show you after we get through this chunk. So what we have here is these same 4 characters, or same 4 numbers, because we know that they are unique. So 1, 7, 4, and 8 are guaranteed to be unique just by the length of letters that are obtained. So we can guarantee that these are those, and using these 4, we then have logic, which is all of this, to figure out the other numbers. So I can differentiate between 7 and 1 by the extra letter that exists. So whatever letter is not contained in 1 is the top tick mark. in in 7, so that very top line. And moving down, so then we have 2 or 5. So using logic to say, whatever is in 1, if it has A or B, let's just call them, A or B for the right side, that's 2 or 5. And then I say that the number 3 is also 5 characters, and it's the one that's not in 2 or 5. So we can differentiate 2 because or 3 from 2 or 5 because let me actually put up the advent of code thing. So if I go scroll back up here, and I guess I'll just do it in this view for a little bit so I can keep easily bounce back and forth. 3 has this whole right side locked up, so it actually shares both of these with A. So if these C and F are in 1, in 1, not A. C and F are in 1, so 2 and 5 both do not have both characters that 1 has. So I can safely say that 2 or 5 have 6 characters, or sorry, 5 ticks, but do not have both of the things that exist in 1. So I can eliminate those. While 3 also has 5 ticks, it has both sides that exist in 1. So I can say with certainty that this is number 3. So let's bounce back to VS Code. So then I say the left side. So whatever is in 8 but is not in 3 has to be the left side. So that should be pretty simple to map out. So whatever's in 3 whatever's in 8 but not in 3 is the left side because this is blank. So it's just a process of elimination, bouncing back and forth, trying to figure out how to differentiate one number on the display from another based on what you're processing out in other numbers. And that's all we do. So once we have 3, then we can say what the left side is. Once we have the 4 and 7 in the left side, then 4 obviously takes up the whole right side, the middle, and part of the left. We have the top from 7, and we have the left side. So we can say that this is not the bot, whatever all these are. And then we can say the bottom is whatever's not in there. Then we can say whatever's not in mid based on what's on the top, 1, left, and bottom. Now we've isolated out the mid. Once we've isolated out the middle, then we can say what 0 is because it's the only one that doesn't have a middle besides 1, which we've already eliminated. So this is not the bottom left. This is the bottom left. So then we can say with certainty this is 9 and this is 6 because 9 does not have a bottom left, whereas 6 doesn't have a top right. So now we know which one is the top right. So we can say which one is 2 and which one is 5 because we know the bottom left. So 2 does not, let's bounce back here. 2 does have a bottom left, 5 does not. That's what it's missing. So we can say with certainty which one is which and move on from there. So then it's just a matter of putting them in order. Because the characters that were given for the input, let me just show you. So let's just look at puzzle. Let's just say 0 to 1, I guess. Just on 0, 1. These change every single time, and they are not in order. So what I do is I put them in alphabetical order. Make sure they're in alphabetical order. They're all sorted. 7, 8, 4, and 1 are set in order up here, so I don't have to redo that. And then I can search by what they are alphabetically. I don't have to do any regex matching or anything crazy like that because everything's already in order and it's simple to do. And I can just say that our value is whatever the entry was and then do the math based on that. And so if I run this, we can see that our total is my answer from the day. Right here, and they match. I did have someone on Reddit after I posted my solution post something along the same lines. They said that they were along doing the same thing, and they kind of beat their head against the wall because they were struggling to figure out the logic. So they actually figured out a way to do this with regex, and it ran, I guess, 50% time, actually, I guess 80% times faster than mine did. So let's measure this. So actually, right now it's taking 76 milliseconds, or sorry, 766 milliseconds, which isn't terrible. It's still less than 1 second. That's not long to wait for this code to process, given everything that it's doing. But the person who had theirs, if you guys saw that I called him out in one of my last videos, Soji Master, he actually ran his in, I think, 15 milliseconds or 150 maybe, somewhere along those lines. I know it was 1.5, probably 150 milliseconds. So his is a lot better. So if you do get a chance, you can search for him on Reddit and just look at his profile and see his code. But it does involve regex, which is something we haven't covered yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to. It is very difficult to explain, and I'm not a computer science major. I've never taken computer science classes, so it would be difficult for me to try to explain the depth of regex that it probably deserves. So with that, that is day 8. I will try to get to a day 9 video here shortly. I've done part 1. I've not done part 2, and obviously I'm a day behind because day 9 should have been posted today. However, I'm getting ready to travel, so it's going to have to wait just a few more days, but I will have another video to follow this one very soon. All right, thanks, and I will talk to you guys soon.